Good morning, class. Today we are starting with the chapter 11 of English language, that is infinitives. What are the infinitives? Infinitives is just a form of the verb. Like we have discussed about all the tenses, three tenses, the present tense, the past tense, and the future tense. There we have discussed a number of verb forms, the base form of the verb, the past form, the past participle form, or the ing form of the verb that we use in the continuous tenses. So in the similar way, this infinitive is also a form of verb. Now, what kind of verb? In the infinitives, we use the base form of the verb and we add to with the base form of the verb. Although the infinitives can be with or without the use of the to, but the infinitives with to are known as the two infinitives. Two infinitives. What are these two infinitives? In these two infinitives, what we have to do, the two infinitive is most often used after verbs. And this is the most common or more usual form of the infinitives. So now we will learn the different ways or the different rules of the infinitive, and we use this too with the base form of the verb. For example, to hear, to see, to eat, to go, to bring. Whenever we are using the verb in this way, that means these are known as the infinitives, or to be specific, these are the two infinitives. Here you can see everywhere I have written two, and all the verbs here, all these verbs are in the base form. Here is the base form: see, eat, go, bring. All these are the base form of the verb. So first we will start with the first rule, that is rule 1. In the rule 1, the to infinitive is most often used after the verb. Means there will be two verbs in the sentence. The first verb will be the main verb, and the verb that will be used with to will be the infinitive. For example, the first where verb plus to infinitive. So here, let's take the example. John hopes to get a first class. John hopes to get a first class. Now here in this sentence you can see the two verbs are used. The first one is hopes and the second one is get. These are the two verbs. Hopes is the first verb or the main verb of the sentence, on the basis of which we can determine the tense of the sentence. Whereas this get, since to is written before the second verb get, that's why this one is the infinitive sentence. Let's take another example. I forgot to post the letter. I forgot to post the letter. Now here again in this sentence there are two verbs. The first one is the forgot and the second one is post. Forgot is the past form of the verb forget. Here, to forget is the base form of the verb and forgot is the past form or the second form of the verb. That's why this is the simple past tense. So, this is the main verb of the sentence on the basis of which we can determine the tense. Whereas the post is the second verb which is used in the sentence, but you can see to is used before this base form of the verb. Post is also the base form of the verb or the first form of the verb, and to is written before it. That's why this is infinitive. Here we are discussing about only those infinitives in which we are using to or which are known as to infinitives. So this is the most common form of the to infinitive where the to infinitive is used after verb, and this is the first rule. Now we will move towards the second rule in which there can be an object between the verb and the to infinitive. In both these two sentences, you can see that this to infinitive is used just after the verb. Here also, this to infinitive is used just after the main verb of the sentence. But in this case of rule number 2, there can be an object between the main verb of the sentence and the to infinitive of the sentence. So, in that case, the rule will be rule number 2, verb plus object plus to infinitive. Okay, for example, I asked him to come early. This is the sentence. I asked him to come early. Now here in this sentence again two verbs are used. The first verb is asked. The second verb is come. This is the past form of the base verb ask. And on the basis of this, we can determine the tense of the sentence. This is the simple past tense. So this is the main verb of the sentence. Okay. And come. And you can see before come, we have used to. So this second verb is the infinitive of the sentence. And here in this sentence, you can see that the infinitive verb is not written just after the main verb, but there is an object in between. That is him. We have discussed the rules of the tenses: subject, verb, object. Everywhere in each and every sentence there will be subject, verb or the helping verb depending on the tense of the sentence, and after that comes the object. So here between the main verb and the infinitive, this is the object of the sentence, or here in between these two verbs. So here it is satisfying the condition verb plus object plus to infinitive. So this is the another way in which we can use the to infinitive. Let's take one more example. No one expected him to win. No one expected him to win. Again, in this sentence, the main verb and the infinitive. This is the first verb, this is the second verb. Expected is the past form of the base verb expect. So this is the main verb. This is infinitive. This is infinitive, and here this is the object. So again, verb plus object plus infinitive. And you can see in all the examples we have discussed so far that for the infinitive we are using the base form of the verb only. Here also come is the base form of the verb and win is also the base form of the verb. Now I'll tell you about some of the common verbs which are used in these infinitives. The first one where we discussed that the infinitive will come just after the main verb, or the second where there will be an object between the verb and the infinitive. So first the common verbs for rule 1. What is the rule 1? Verb plus to infinitive. Verb plus to infinitive. So what are these verbs? Arrange, forget, wish, want, try, love, hate, pain, expect, seem, remember, decide. These are some of the common verbs which we can use for the rule number 1, that is verb plus to infinitive. But if I'm saying that we are using these verbs here, it does not mean that we cannot use all these verbs in any other case. What are the rules we will discuss further? The same verbs can also be used there. Okay, and here also for this rule we can use, this is just the examples, an example how can you use the verbs in the form of infinitive. Now what are the common verbs that we can use for the rule number 2? What was the rule number 2? Rule number 2 was verb plus object plus to infinitive. Now, what are the common verbs that we can use here? Allow, ask, compel, command, order, invite, force, win, tell, request, remind, come. These are some common verbs which can be used in the second rule, means where there will be an object between the main verb and the to infinitive of the sentence.